Hi students, this is Mr. Burns, and today we're going to talk a little bit about George Washington, and we're going to study what happened when George Washington took command of the Continental Army all the way up to Valley Forge. Well, the first thing I want to do here is just to talk about how tough the Second Continental Congress had things. Now, they were the government during the war, and they had some really tough tasks to do. They had to form a government. They had to get states to support that government and also get the states to send in money. And they had to convince states to send troops and arms to support the war effort. Really, there is only one possible person to lead the Continental Army, and that's going to be General Washington. George Washington really wanted the job of commanding the Continental Army, and he dressed the part. George Washington was very conscious of his image, and if you kind of look at this cool painting here, we see him riding on a fine white stallion, and his uniform was impeccable. And his appearance, he was taller than most men in that day, helped persuade the Continental Army, the Second Continental Congress, to give him the job of leading the Continental Army. So let me clarify that again since I made the little mistake. His appearance and his lobbying convinced the Second Continental Congress to make him the general of the Continental Army. All right, we just want to do a little bit here. Washington arrives in Boston, and Boston is a stalemate. The British hold the city, and Washington and the ragtag militias and the group of men that's forming into the Continental Army, they hold the high ground outside of the city of Boston. They can't push the British out of Boston, and the British can't charge up those hills to knock Washington's men out. The big game changer, however, arrives in March 1776. Guess what happens then? Cannon captured at Fort Ticonderoga finally arrive in Washington's possession, and General Howe is shocked when they go up on Dorchester Heights, and now Washington and his cannon command the city of Boston, and General Howe has no choice but to leave the city or face annihilation from those powerful, powerful cannon. After the victory in Boston, General Howe flees to New York, and then General Washington marches overland to do battle with General Howe. Now, in New York, things go horribly wrong for the Continental Army. Washington maybe have been a little overconfident with the early victories that the Americans had won in the war, but New York shows him that the Continental Army is not a match for those redcoats. The British are too powerful. They have too many men. They are too well trained. Their weapons are better. So Washington needs to learn how to fight another way. If he continues to try to fight battles the way he did in New York, the Continental Army would soon disintegrate and the war would be over, and Washington would probably be in chains or prison or even executed by the British. So he learns how to fight in a new way, and that is to pick his battles. I'm underlining Princeton and Trenton because these are two battles that he would win in the holiday season of 1776 and 1777. And basically he won them by using stealth and surprise attacks. For example, that Battle of Trenton fought right around Christmas time. Washington attacks shortly after daybreak, after crossing the Delaware River, and he catches unprepared and maybe even hungover Hessian soldiers in the city of Trenton, and he wins a smashing but small victory. And then he would repeat that at Princeton in the days to follow, using the same surprise tactics of hitting the British quickly and then leaving the scene. Hey, let's jump to September and October of 1777. This is going to be the biggest battle of the war to date, and it's going to take place in New York. It's called the Battle of Saratoga. Saratoga was not just one battle, it was several battles that culminated in a British surrender. And again, this is at Saratoga in New York. The American commander was Horatio Gates. The British commander was General Burgoyne. Now, Burgoyne had a secret plan to win this battle. He was going to have three British armies converge or arrive together in western New York. They would surround General Gates, crush his army, and take New York out of the war. Now, New York was one of the big states. New York and Virginia were the biggest states. So to take New York out of the war, that would be a tremendous victory for the British. Unfortunately for Burgoyne, he probably didn't understand the geography very well. General Howe was supposed to come up from Philadelphia, and another army was supposed to come down, march south from Canada. The problem was General Howe never made it, and this army from Canada never made it. So when Burgoyne and Gates faced off, the armies were roughly equally matched, and General Gates was able to surround General Burgoyne's army. And in October 1777, Burgoyne shocks the world by surrendering to the Americans at Saratoga. And I want to write a word down at the bottom of the screen, and that word is France. When the French hear news of this American victory, they decide it's time to get involved in this war and maybe get a measure of revenge against the British. Now, Saratoga was the high point of the war. The low point of the war comes just months after that victory in Saratoga. The low point of the war was at Valley Forge, and Valley Forge was in Pennsylvania. It was near the city of Philadelphia. General Washington had gone into winter headquarters in Valley Forge to keep an eye on General Howe's army in Philadelphia. Valley Forge is a nasty place for several reasons. The pay is not coming in. Men are quitting. There's disease. The food is poor. It's cold. Sometimes it's snowy. Sometimes it's rainy. And as you can see in this picture here, the men are dressed in rags. It was commonly said that you could see bloody footprints in the snow at Valley Forge. You see, the officers were a little bit better dressed than the men. The men truly did suffer at Valley Forge. I want to draw a little picture around this hut back there. The men lived in these little tiny cabins that they had kind of hastily put together, and you could have 4 to 6 men living in one of these small cabins. So Valley Forge was a terrible disaster. The men were walking away. They were returning to their homes because there was such a sense of hopelessness at Valley Forge. And Washington is kind of beside himself with asking the Continental Congress for more money, better uniforms, more food to feed his troops. His troops truly were suffering at Valley Forge in Pennsylvania. So this is the low point of the war, and it's the winter of 1777 to 1778. Gonna go really fast here. Here's a picture of the Prussian military officer, and his name is Baron von Stueben. He was one of the many foreigners who came to fight for the Americans against the British. And von Stueben was a career military officer. He had fought extensively in Prussia's wars in Europe, and he helped to train the Continental Army. He taught the men how to march. He taught the men how to maneuver in formation. He taught the men how to fire their weapons accurately. He taught the men how to fix bayonets. So he did a lot to help train the American army in the winter of 1776, 1777. The The final person we want to give a little credit to here today is the man to the right of General Washington. General Washington is the taller of the two in this picture, and I will just circle the next person. This is the Marquis de Lafayette. He was a young Frenchman who came to fight with the Americans, and he would arrive in Valley Forge. In many respects, he kind of became an adopted son to George Washington. All right, so again, Valley Forge was a terrible place. Look at the uniforms of these two men here and compare them to the uniforms of General Washington and Marquis de Lafayette. The men are in kind of ragged condition. The houses where the men lived in were these little tiny huts right here. So Valley Forge was not a great place. And in 1776, 1777, the war was indeed going very badly for General Washington. All right, this is Mr. Burns signing off. Watch this video again as many times as it takes to get a general overview of how the war went once George Washington took command and his experience in battle for the first few years up to the troubles at Valley Forge.